Yo, what up, everybody? It's Slummy here. I'm back. Sorry for the long delay. I actually got really crazy at work and haven't been able to do any videos. Hopefully, I'll be back on my weekly schedule. But since I am doing since most of my builds are based on helping beginning players out run veteran activities, I thought for shits and giggles I would share my first build. Just as a quick backstory, and before everyone starts slamming the dislike button, this is by no means a good build. This is a very shitty build. I had very hard time with it. For vet activities, I died really fast. It was very frustrating. When I finally passed veteran dungeons, I could tell you those healers kicked ass and probably hated me when it was over because I mean I was literally two shots, I was dead. People were constantly reviving me. So kudos to those people who helped me out my first few runs because I bet it was very frustrating. I bet you all just wanted to kick my ass. So basically, as a backstory, I started playing the game day one. I played it for about 2 weeks, was not feeling it, did not like the gear drops or the gold drops. There was a lot of bugs, and I actually did not get back into the game until probably 3 or 4 months after the Orsinian update. And then I really started enjoying the game. But at that time, I didn't really know the importance of armor sets and building your character. I didn't really know the importance of sustain. Um, for my attributes, I actually had the attributes all split evenly between Magicka, health, and stamina, which was a big mistake. I didn't know dumping them all into the Magicka pool was the way to go. As you can see from my character stats, they're actually not too bad, but this is a terrible build, and I'll go through that why at the end of the video. But my spell damage is up there, my spell crit is up there, my max magicka is up there only because right now I'm rocking a tri-stat potion, and you got to keep in mind my attributes were split evenly, so my magicka was way less than it is right now. It's a terrible build. I was not a vampire at the time. Again, I didn't have any tri-stats activated. For my boon, I had spell damage because I was so obsessed on getting the damage up as high as possible. I didn't care about any other sets. My whole mind frame was if I can get my character to do as much damage as possible, it doesn't matter how long I survive, and that's a big mistake. That was the worst mindset to have. And again, it made my experience very frustrating. So I'll go through the skills here. So on my front bar, well, actually, let's go through the armor first. So for the armor, I had all light gear. So in the beginning, I did have the lightning staff of willpower. I actually got really lucky in running a normal dungeon. I got this blue version, and I eventually leveled it up to gold. I've been actually using this staff for like the last 2 years. I absolutely love it. Um, so yeah, I got really lucky. Got this one pretty much on my first gold tower run. On the back bar at the time, I had dual wield willpower, which again I was farming the dungeon to get these, and I eventually leveled them up to gold. Uh, for my gear set, again, it's all light armor. I had treasure hunters hat, treasure hunters chest. Again, I thought having the sturdy would reduce my black cost. I didn't know the importance of divines and infuse to increase my stats. So I had, I put a max magicka enchantment on these because I knew I needed a little bit more magicka because my resource pool was running out really fast. So treasure hunters, head and chest, shoulders Julianos, light armor, sash Julianos, hands Julianos, legs treasure hunters, feet Julianos. So the one good thing about this setup is you do get a lot of spell crit. You get some max magicka and you get a little bit of spell damage out of it for the jewelry set because I did have willpower, which I picked up from guild traders throughout the game. I had to grind a lot for the gold to get it because at the time the willpower jewelry was very expensive. Now you could get it for next to nothing. So that was pretty much my setup. As you can see, the dual wield on my back bar is a big mistake because of my weapon damage is only at like 1600 when I do a weapon swap, and my weapon criticals at 22%. So it's very, very low, not really effective at all. For my skills on my front bar, since I was obsessed with getting my magic damage stat as high as possible, I had degeneration, which in PvP, or I'm sorry, PvE, it's actually not a bad ability. I do like this because with my new build, I get a ton of max or magic damage. I think I'm at like 3,500 once it's activated without a spell damage potion. I had Blazing Spear because I knew my teammates could use this when I was doing vet dungeon runs, so I kept this on. Plus, it does pretty good damage. At the time, I didn't know the importance of AoE damage and single target damage, so I, by the pure luck that this does AoE damage was just because I picked it on accident, really, just so my partners can use it. I had Hasty Prayer, which I think at the time was called the Breath of Life, but I'm not 100% sure for my heal, because it did heal me almost full when using it. The only thing that sucks is when you're doing vet dungeons using this, by the time the animation stops, you're getting hit so much that your health is back to being almost dead again. I had Inner Light just for the extra. Actually, I equipped this for the extra crit. I didn't even equip it for the extra Magicka, so I was focused on the damage part. But yeah, Inner Light is still a must on any Magicka DPS build. Puncturing Sweeps, and actually when I initially morphed this ability, I didn't morph it to the healing one. So literally the Hasty Prayer was my only heal on this character. Puncturing Sweeps I used because since I was a dual wield, I figured I needed an ability to do a lot of damage up close. At the time, though, this was before they nerfed Puncturing Sweeps, so it did actually do a lot of damage, but it drained my Magicka very quick if I tried to spam it. Solar Disturbance, because I didn't know the awesomeness that is the Meteor, so I had this on my for my ultimate on both my front and back bar. So on my back bar, I actually always, and I still use Vampire's Bane and Purifying Light. I really love these two abilities combined together. They do a ton of damage over time. Vampire's Bane does a ton of damage with the initial hit as well. So these were two abilities that I stuck with and continue to use to this day. I had Toppling Charge because I figured since I'm doing a dual wield on my back bar, I needed a gap closer. And this was my gap closer because it stunned an enemy. But in vet dungeons, to have a gap closer with all light armor and no type of shield, yeah, you died pretty quickly. Not to mention doing no weapon damage when you are inside the mob. So yeah, this was not a good idea. I died very, very fast. What's even more comical is when I tried to do Maelstrom Arena with this build. Man, was that very frustrating. I probably broke like 3 controllers. Radiant Oppression, this just does a ton of damage. It's still a good skill in PvE. PvP, I not really too much. Vet Dungeons, not really a fan of this skill, only because the animation is so long and it's very hard to. You would literally have to use this on bosses when you had the opportunity where mobs weren't around, which is very rare because the animation's so long and it's stuck on one target. You just get torn up by the other enemies if there's mobs. So this is not something I really recommend in vet dungeons, but I know some people are very skilled with it and use it very wisely. And then again, Degeneration, because I was obsessed with the spell damage stats, so I wanted this on both my front and back bars. Solar Disturbance. Passives, I had my Spear, Wrath, and Light all maxed out. My dual wield, I had all the passives maxed out, but I didn't have a special ability for my dual wield. So again, this was very weak, and it doesn't really restore Magicka, so I was always flipping to my front bar to try to get more Magicka back, and this was just not a good combination. Now it's all about having the staffs on the front and back bar. I know there are some really awesome magic builds with dual wield out there, just not this one, so don't use this one. Destruction Staff, my passes were all maxed out. Light Armor, my passes were all maxed out. Light Armor, because it was all light armor, you really should have a heavy and a medium somewhere so you can utilize the passes. On this build, I did not have it, so I literally had nothing. In terms of dodge roll, I didn't get that little shield thing over you. The heavy, I didn't have the resistance. I mean, this was bad. Soul Magic, I had Soul Summons and Soul Lock. Again, I was not a vampire at the time. Mage's Guild, I think I got this up to like level 7 and had the passives maxed out up to level 7. Undaunted, I knew nothing about, so I didn't have any passives in here. And my Brent skills were all maxed out. So yeah, you could already start seeing the flaws in this build. There's just no resistance whatsoever. For my champion points, I actually had everything into Elemental Expert. Literally all my points. So again, I didn't know the importance of like tenacity, or thermoflage or area of effect damage or anything. So I literally had this maxed out, plus it was prior to the nerf. So again, I was obsessed with increasing my spell damage, and I had a little bit into staff expert, and at that time my mindset was, well, once I get elemental expert maxed out, I'll do staff expert and try to max that out. But I didn't know the importance of like mastering arms, which it was not called that at the time. And then also, you know, thermoflage, again, I didn't know the importance of AoE damage. For my you know, the red and green abilities, yeah, these were just all over the place. Again, I didn't have any spell damage. I had everything to help me heal more, but nothing to resist my spell damage because I didn't have any spell damage shields or any damage shields or anything. So yeah, so this was pretty much my build. Again, this is not a good build. This was very frustrating to run veteran activities with. I didn't know the importance of crafting sets. I didn't know how the awesomeness that is Julianos. I just knew willpower was a go, and then everything else let me get my damage up as high as possible. After a bunch of research and stuff like that, I respect my character, which at the time I didn't have a lot of gold, so that was very frustrating to do. And then I had to level up those skill lines, which was another frustrating thing to do. So learn from my mistakes. So again, I'm going to start doing videos. This is my build. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, next week I'll have a new PvP build, hopefully. I'm still grinding some gear, so I am on console, so I don't get the test server or anything like that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you like doing this. I have other builds I can really humiliate myself with and show everybody. And again, let me know what your first build was. Post it in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have been doing a lot of Battlegrounds lately, so check out my Twitch channel. And if you want to group up, let's do it. Again, thank you for tuning in. Everybody have a great weekend.